Cat and Moose podcast. I'm Cat.
And I'm Moose. This is a true life podcast where we explore the quirks of being human. Somehow I have pinned you, Cat, to my Zoom.
Is that good or? I don't really know what that means.
Should I be honored by the pinning?
Yeah. It's like, is this?
Hey, Cat.
Hey, Moose.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
If someone called you sturdy, how would you take that?
Well, I would immediately be reminded of how thick and fat I am. I would not take it as a compliment. Although sturdy kind of sounds a little bit like you're solid, like you're a rock. You know, maybe that's a good thing. But I would take it as you are extremely thick.
I told Sarah the other day that I thought she was strong and sturdy. And the best part of it was she gave me a look and then she said, "Thank you." And I was like, you gotta have friends that can appreciate your heart when those things happen. Because I literally said to her, if anyone called me sturdy, I would whoop their ass.
Yeah. Now, how did you mean it?
Well, you know, sixes, they're like, I always say they're like the anchor, you know, like when they're in health, and I'll speak of Sarah specifically, but that is the kind of the sixth thing. But Sarah specifically is like just very grounded, you know, like I can share like this person treated me like crap and this really hurt. And she can like immediately bring me back to like reality of like, okay, you don't like that person. So that really doesn't matter, you know?
Yeah.
And you
great.
can choose not to work with that person again. Or like she just like takes me from my emotional crisis and she can like in an instant, like, you know, and you do that too for me.
Oh, thanks.
But out of my mouth, I don't even know if that was what happened. But anyway, I just wanted to make sure. I won't be saying that to anyone else but Sarah, but it worked the first time I said it. Strong. I would love to be called strong and sturdy. At first, I would laugh my ass off because somebody called me sturdy, but then I would be like, listen, maybe like pre-30-year-old Moose would say like, oh, that's rude. I want to be feminine and petite. And honestly now, like everything that's going on in the world, like I need to plant my feet on the ground and do like a sumo squat just so I can stay standing, you know?
Yeah, totally. Like you got to like center and balance your whole body and get like as close to the ground as you can to not like topple over. I totally relate with that feeling. And it makes me think when you called Sarah strong and sturdy, it reminds me of Becky, who we work with. Becky said that the other day she was at some sort of thing or something like that, and she left and she felt like she was socially awkward at the thing. And so when she left, she said to herself, yeah, that wasn't my best work.
Hey, look, you guys, we got to give each other a break right now in this world. You know, I love that, Becky. That's so good. I hope you still listen. If you don't, then forget you.
Well, one thing that I want to point out is that at the beginning of this conversation, you said that if someone called you sturdy, that you would whoop their ass. And by the time we got to the end of this part of our conversation, you were saying that you would really take it as a compliment. So I'm curious, like, what happened in there?
Well, I think, honestly, like, I think it's like our false self rising first and wanting to be protective. And then when you like think about it, you're like, oh, actually, I used to live by a different set of rules than I do now. Now I'm just surviving. Like, what is that show that Sarah would know if she was in here? But apparently she has better things to do.
She's left the podcast.
Okay, I'm leaning on you, Kat. Okay, what? This is going to be good. What movie is the like...
What the hell? You're holding up three fingers, Close Encounters of the Third Kind?
No, listen. Wait.
I mean, it sounds like a pressure cooker. I don't know.
A pressure cooker. It's Jennifer Lawrence, and she's basically being hunted by other humans. But it's a really great series.
It's
Everybody that's listening is yelling the name of it.
It's Hunger Games.
Yes, we have entered Hunger Games officially as of March 2020. We as a society are now in the Hunger Games. And so we're just waiting for our number to be called. And I don't mean that in some sick way with COVID. Like, I'm taking that seriously. But with everything going on, it's like, look, you just got to find the right tree to hide behind, you know?
In the right group of people to protect you until they're ready to kill you.
Exactly. And so strong and sturdy works in this new world that we're living in.
Yeah, I definitely. And I feel like I'm real close to being taken out any minute.
Me too. I woke up to a text this morning from a manager that was just basically like, I know you're out next week, and this is what I expect from you to hear from today. And I'm just like, what land do we live in that when you say jump, I say how high?
I was going to say, apparently I'm doing artist management wrong because I don't ever send texts like that.
Well, I don't know if that's the right way, my love.
You talked about Sarah being a 6 and about how she can kind of almost immediately ground you and is strong and sturdy. And my sister is a 6. And I shared something with my sister. It was a couple months ago now. We went to see one of my clients perform outdoors over at the what's it called? The air park, something over in East Nashville.
Wait, what? I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Where the old
airfield. Yeah. Airfield. Who knows? Anyway, we were on our way there and I was sharing something really, really pretty sensitive with my sister that I was going through, and her perspective was so good. Yeah. Like her perspective was basically like, you know what you need to do is you just need to hang out and just let things happen like they're going to happen. And don't force anything and don't freak out and don't make grandiose, decisions, and just let everything fall like it's going to fall, and it's like, for some reason, it's like, that's all I needed to hear.
Well, it's such good advice because, and this is something I've been thinking about. I think, and I'm not saying like there's a pre-COVID and a post-COVID. There is that reality of like living in a world where we have a pandemic and we have to constantly consider that. But even bigger than the pandemic, a lot has changed for us, And I'm recognizing that the things that maybe would label me as a driver normally in business, maybe isn't as needed. I almost said as valued, but that's not it. It's not as needed because we're in a world where everyone needs a freaking break. Like this week, more than any week, I feel like I've talked to people who are like, I am done. I am crispy. I am fried. I am so burned out. And, we talked about burnout many episodes ago, but here's the thing with burnout is you keep thinking when you have like a moment of like fresh air or things are going okay, you go, okay, well now I can just keep going. Cause that's what I've always done is I just keep pressing. I need a weekend. But the thing with burnout is like, you know how they say you can't catch up on sleep? Mm-hmm. Like if you pull an all-nighter for whatever, or you're on a red eye or whatever it is, and you just can't sleep, you can't wait till the weekend and sleep 10 hours because you missed those hours. And so I think burnout's the same way is it's like, okay, keep going. And then you can't. But usually what happens is our body like gives out on us in order to say, oh, actually you didn't listen to your brain. So we're gonna just go ahead and fail something for you, And I think that's my biggest fear in all of this is like, I think people are being pushed to the max and it's not our nature, at least my nature, I'll say that, to just be like, okay, I'm actually gonna take some time off, or I'm gonna choose to like go back to therapy. It's like those things are so essential now. Whatever it is that we need to not overlook, you know? But back to your sister, I totally agree. I feel like as drivers, we are, because you're a driver too, like it's our nature just to keep things moving along. And sometimes we need to let things land where they land.
Right.
Which is hard to do because
it's really hard to do.
We've been trained to like, oh no, there's a ball. I keep it rolling, you know?
Yep.
But I mean, it's true. Like sometimes things just need the space to recognize they're not going to work.
Right. And I was just telling someone yesterday, I'm so glad that you brought this up, that I feel so unmotivated right now, like really, really unmotivated. And this person was asking me like, if I could kind of process it out loud and all of that. And I said, I don't feel like during the pandemic, like, you know, so many people talk about like, oh, I had all this time off, or it was so relaxing because I got to work from home and, you know, do laundry while I was also working and stuff like that. And it's like, I work from home anyway, so that didn't really change much for me. And I felt like my job got harder and harder and I made less and less money. Like I was going to apply for a refinance, last week, and I did all the paperwork to apply for the refinance. And then finally my lender was like, Kat, you lost over 82% of your income last year and you don't even qualify. And it was such a gut punch, because it was one of those things where it's like, how is it that I feel like I'm in burnout and I'm not even like making enough money to get a better interest rate on my home mortgage? You know, it's like, that was really defeating. And so what I decided is, in a couple of weeks, I'm going to go to the beach for 5 days and I am going to literally turn off my phone.
I love it. You never do that.
I'm not going to even check in with Becky. Like I am literally going to turn off my phone for 5 days.
I think that's the best thing you can do. I think the hardest thing for you is going to figure out what you're going to do if you don't, because I'm the same way. It's very hard for me. I've noticed lately that if I go and sit somewhere in the living room to just relax, like at the end of the day, and say I left my phone in the other room or in my office, I start getting like nervous, like, oh, somebody's going to need me.
Yep.
And that isn't some, let me be clear, that isn't some codependency that I'm aware of. It's habit. It's habit that, oh my God, like we talk about it all the time. And this is not to say like, poor us. Like I'm sure even if this isn't the exact same thing that happens to our listeners, like we all have some dependency on making sure like things are being fixed or handled or, you know, we're just doing our jobs. But like, I'm so curious for you, Kat, like, have you thought about, like, I feel like I need you to pre-plan. I'm going to read this book. I'm going to get my adult coloring books that have bad words in it and color for hours. I know all the things that you love, or even your audiobooks or whatever, like, or just sit in front of the ocean, you know, like, I get nervous when I think about unplugging sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, I do too. And I think that what I have to do when I unplug in order to, cause to me, to just sit and look at the ocean, I can definitely do that. And I can do that for several hours. So I will certainly
but
do
you
that.
Get bored.
I do. I get bored pretty fast. And, you know, but with all the stuff I've been studying and everything, it's like I have an even deeper appreciation for like nature and vibrations and, you know, what all's happening around me, and God is everywhere and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like I will be able to just kind of sit and be quiet, maybe longer than I have in the past. And I still know that I am who I am, and I'm not going to be able to do that for 5 days. And so I think what I'm going to do, is I think I'm going to take one of my acupressure books, and I'm just going to study points and read about like stuff that I love. You know, it's like, why does holding my shoulder right here make my right third toe want to wiggle? You know, it's like, I really, really am passionate about all the bodywork stuff, and having to drop out of school this quarter because of work, like that made me really sad. And thankfully at the end of this month, I get to go back. I'm really excited about that. But yeah, I think I'm just going to dive into what I consider like my passion or my hobby that's outside of my job. I think that's the biggest thing I'm going to do. And I remember a few years ago, probably the last time I took a vacation, when I went to the beach, I read an entire magazine on astrology. And I remember I put like when Mercury was going to be in retrograde in all of our calendars in the office and stuff like that. And it's like, I remember like one day we were all working together and we're like, shit is just not working. And it's like Mercury just went into retrograde. So I'll do some stuff like that, I think. Thanks for asking and reminding me of my bad word adult coloring books. I definitely need to take those with me.
Oh, sure. I mean, honestly, like anytime you've come over the house and we've had them laying out, like you seem to find where the colored pencils are, and you just like, it sort of like helps you just like zone out and be with yourself. So I say do it.
Yeah, it really does.
We need a cat and moose, like explicit coloring book.
That's a great idea.
I'm working on that ASAP.
Okay, that's a great idea. I love, it's a great merch item. And then we can have in there, like, are you a cat? Are you a moose? Are you a Sarah? You know, like we could do that whole thing. And us talking about all of this reminds me, like, you're about to go on a cruise. How are you feeling about that?
Oh my gosh, I'm feeling amazing about it. Outside of just trying to get everything done, you know, beforehand, I intentionally planned this cruise over Labor Day weekend. So like this was, speaking of like being a slave to your work, I figured it out where I was like, okay, we leave Friday, we're gone Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday's a holiday. We get back the next Friday. So really I'm only missing 3 days of work is the way I saw it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So Sarah and I are going on an Alaskan cruise, and it's her, Sarah, you should come on here and talk about this part. It's her bucket list of all bucket list trips. And during COVID, nobody was cruising. And I know we're still during COVID, but it's a 100% vaccinated cruise. So thank God for that. Which, by the way, anyway, I was going to say we had to go get a COVID test yesterday, and that was dramatic in itself.
What was that experience like? I've not gone and gotten a COVID test for probably, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 months. Like I've got a rapid test that I've taken. I've taken a couple rapid tests at home, but what is it like? Where do you go and what do you do? What is the process like?
Well, in Nashville right now, there are no test appointments. And so I knew that we had to get this test within 72 hours of when we actually sail or board or whatever. So I just sort of was like, on Monday, I was like, yeah, about Tuesday, I'll start looking around and seeing when we can, because I thought it was as easy. We've got a clinic down the street that is a Vandy walk-in clinic. And I thought, well, they've always just been like, yeah, come on back, you know? And I go to look, and with the surge everywhere, it hasn't been quite as bad in Nashville, but it's been bad enough. There were like no appointments.
Oof.
So we had to go stand in line yesterday at 7 a.m. This is what the lady told us to do. And we got there, and there was a line of 20 people already. And then you go in, and then they give you your time frame of when to come back. But it's a walk-in clinic, so they're like first come, first serve. So we basically just had to, like, you know, it's like when Chick-fil-A opens and people spend the night. Like we did that. With no Christian chicken nuggets, you know? That's hard.
No Christian nugs.
Sarah, I want you to talk about, since Alaska is your dream thing, like how are you feeling?
I still have a morning voice. I don't think I've said a word yet today. And
well, you sound great.
It's almost 10, guys.
It's all right.
Well,
hello, Mr.
Sarah.
Hello, everyone. Mr. Sarah. Oh God. Yeah.
If you don't feel like sharing, you don't have to.
Okay. This is the problem. Alaska, a cruise to Alaska has been on the top of my bucket list for as long as I can remember. I am like giddy excited to see a whale in the wild. And, you know, just like I love cruising. I've been on enough boats or whatever, but like this is going to be so fun. I think the thing. Okay, sorry. So what I was going to say before is whenever I go on a trip and I've never experienced the thing before, or like I don't know what to expect. I just kind of go in excited, but like I have no like aim or like specific thing I'm looking forward to. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, I don't know what to expect, but I'm excited, you know? And so then, but like after I've visited a city or been to a, you know, place, then I'm like, okay, next time we've got a you know, I don't know if everyone's that way.
But you've been to Ketchikan.
I have been to Ketchikan, Alaska. And it was a fun experience. I think the thing I'm most looking forward to about this particular trip, just in light of what I just said, is that all of the other cruises I've been on have been event related or industry related, and they're fun. And there's a lot of benefit to that because you skip all the lines and you get the backstage, you know, whatever treatment. But I'm really looking forward to just being a patron on this ship and like just a nobody. I don't nobody, nobody knows me, you know.
As far as we know, we'll probably get there and there'll be like 3 clients on the boat.
Like they got a discount because half of the ship is whatever and the other half is a Christian event. That's why we got such a good deal.
We get on and like all of a sudden like Newsboys is playing one night.
That right there will be a sign, and I don't know how we'll decode it, but
listen, I'll jump off the ship. That's what I'll do. I will leap, and they'll be like, "What happened to her?" And they'll be like, "No, it was completely on her own accord. She was ready. She took a lifeboat already. She went back to shore."
That's amazing.
I'll just live in Juneau, Alaska for the rest of my life. Okay, speaking of blue whales, Sarah and I, this is the way we get ready for trips. Is we watch documentaries about the place, you know?
Okay.
Highly recommend it.
So we're supposed to be going to Europe next month. Who knows if that's going to happen? Because the EU basically just said, sorry, Americans, you're too dirty. Don't come into our country.
And I agree.
Europeans are the smartest people in the world, man.
I know.
Totally agree.
So we've already watched Copenhagen and Amsterdam and all these different things for that. Who knows if it's going to happen? But for Alaska, last night, like Sarah was telling me about blue whales. Well, I didn't know there were so many damn species of whales. And so I was like, which whales are going to be in the Alaska waters? And she was like, blue whales.
Yeah.
So
and orcas.
Yeah, we turned on a documentary, which ended up being the saddest thing ever. Because like
awful.
20 minutes of it was a dead whale floating in the thing. And I'm like, it was on Disney Plus.
Disney Plus, people.
No.
What? And these children can't handle it. We were eating something and pizza or something. I can't remember.
God.
Something really healthy, you know? And and I was like, I feel like I'm eating dead whale by watching this.
Yeah, I could not watch it anymore.
But anyway, here's what people need to know about blue whales. Here's the very fast thing. Because some of you are like, I don't give 2 shits because I'm not going to Alaska. You should, because these things are freaking huge. One whale, this isn't a large whale. This is a regular whale. 3 school buses lined up end to end.
Wow, that's huge.
And they weigh 300,000 pounds up to 450,000 pounds. Like, I don't even know what that means.
That's amazing.
Okay, well, break it down.
Their heart is the size of a car.
Whoa.
And weighs.
And their heart, I don't remember how much.
I think it was like 400 pounds or something.
Yeah, their heart weighs 400 pounds.
Their heart.
That's like my size.
And it only, oh my God. And it only beats like 2 times a minute when they're underwater.
You have a good memory.
Isn't that amazing?
Wow. Yeah, that's really, really cool. So are they cold-blooded animals?
They're mammals.
They're mammals.
I didn't cover that.
I'm going to look. Producer Sarah's going to look it up.
But anyway,
I was going to say mammals. Isn't the thing that defines mammals is that they're warm-blooded and they have hair on their skin,
and they birth their children, right?
Yeah.
Well, how else do they have their children?
Well, like eggs.
Well, we're inside of an egg, aren't we?
Sort of.
No, that's called a uterus.
A what?
A uterus.
Oh.
Yes. The blue whale is the largest animal to ever live in the entire history of the earth. Like all whales, blue whales are mammals and give birth to very large calves that nurse for 6 or 7 months.
Here's what I need from you. I need a sound of a blue whale to exit this segment on Cat and Moose Podcast. I want to hear what a blue whale sounds like.
All of our
what
listeners are going, thank you, Lord.
Seriously. No.
It's finally over.
This
Shut
is
up.
part of the excitement of going to Alaska.
This is also part of the excitement.
Did you know that baby whales, have some of the loudest, and they make the loudest noise, and they could be heard up to 1,000 miles away.
Cat, 1,000 miles. That is from here to Denver. You can not we can't hear it, but they can hear each other that far away.
Man, that's so cool.
But the worst part is they get hit in Santa Barbara. There is like a channel that the whales use, as well as these huge big rigs that hold, all of those. What are they called? Containers?
Like
shipping containers.
Barges. And they hit them, and that's how they die. And I'm like,
no.
There's only like a small channel for both of them to get through. And the freaking whale is huge, but it gets hit and they die. Okay, this is
It reminds me of
God.
It reminds me of this cartoon that my nephew Drew showed me several years ago, and it's called Crazy Flying Shark.
Oh.
Crazy Flying Shark. And it basically like is this shark that's like swimming along. It's like an animated thing. The shark is swimming along and a boat drives over the shark and it makes it like super bloody. And so the shark dies and becomes like a ghost shark. And so then it's like a scary flying shark. It's very, very, I remember when he showed it to me, he was only like 6 and I was like, children can't be watching stuff like this.
No.
And it was, I
Wow.
had a little kitschy little song and everything. It was, it was a little bit scary. So you're talking about whales, you're talking about big things. Do you remember the character that is oftentimes alongside Ronald McDonald, the purple character? Do you remember its name?
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember its name.
So its name is Grimace.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Grimace, yeah.
Grimace is this like purple thing. And I would like to invite you. I don't remember how to do the thing that we do for our patrons where I share my screen.
Just share it, hit share screen, and then find the screen you're looking at. I should have done that for the whales.
Okay, so this is Grimace. What does this creature represent in your opinion?
A turd.
I mean, right? Like it doesn't look like it doesn't look like anything. And apparently in all of the history of McDonald's has not revealed what this character is. And apparently last week, this guy named Kyle Daly, who is the manager of a McDonald's up in Canada. So our Canadian friends, like, your guy did a thing, okay? Like this guy said he is an enormous taste bud and a taste bud nonetheless. And so literally Grimace, if you look up a taste bud in a microscope, it looks just like Grimace. And it's actually like it's like taste buds and papilla, which are like the little things on the taste buds that help you taste things. Like it looks like a furry purple thing. And so Grimace is a taste bud. Is that disgusting?
It's disgusting. Can you allow me to share? Because I had a competitor school when I was at school at Murray State University in Western Kentucky. Our biggest competitor was Western Kentucky University, and their mascot was the Hilltoppers. Okay?
The Hilltoppers? What is that?
They have a lot of hills. I'm going to show our patrons what this looks like. For those of you who aren't a patron, Google Western Kentucky University mascot. If you want to just do that, Kat, instead of letting me share, you can pull it up. But we would laugh so hard because we were the racers, and ours was like a racehorse. And our racehorse, which was actually a horse, like this, this Hilltopper would try and fight with it. And I just need you to show us what it looks like. It's basically a red Grimace.
That's amazing.
Isn't that weird? Like, what the crap is that?
Like, what is it?
I don't know. It's like they got it on sale on eBay and they were like, this is our mascot.
This one right here is amazing. Well, maybe Hilltopper and Grimace could have a baby, and maybe it would come out looking like Gumby or something. Maybe that's where Gumby came from.
Sarah, weren't you a mascot?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. I volunteered.
When you told me that, I was like, what?
I volunteered to be the school mascot my junior year of high school. And I think I probably only attended one game, maybe 1.5.
How can you be the mascot and not come?
I know, I sucked, man. I was a terrible mascot.
Do you remember what you were?
Yeah, look up Douglas High School, Gardnerville, Nevada. And it's the tiger.
It's a tiger. I wonder if there's a picture of you inside of it the one time you were in it.
I'm sure I could pick any of those pictures and say that I was in it. Ready?
Yeah. No.
Oh, here it is. There he is.
That's a cool mascot, though.
Yeah, I like him.
Do you think that was you in front of the cheerleaders?
Definitely. Look at that. See those arms?
Oh, yeah. Those are your arms. Those are your arms.
That thing was so tall, and I am not very tall. And so the legs were all like scrunched down at my feet, and it was not cute. And hot as...
Oh, I bet it was hot. That's so gross, man. I could totally see you in that thing. Okay, speaking of... This is amazing, because we do not plan this, but I have to read this article. I mean, there couldn't be a better segue, okay?
Okay.
And I would like to honor that I'm from Kentucky, and this happened in Kentucky. So the headline that I see this week, Meade County School deals with an unusual situation. Students dressing and acting like cats.
What?
Louisville, Kentucky. The Meade County School District is dealing with an unusual situation. A group of high school students is attending school, acting like and dressing as cats. The superintendent tells WLKY the situation is being addressed, but according to a concerned grandparent, it's an ongoing problem that has many students on edge. Apparently, from what I understand, they're called furries, says one grandmother, who was asked to remain anonymous. She's ashamed of her grandkid. They identify with animals. These people will hiss at you or scratch at you if they don't like something you're doing. She said it's not a new problem. This is another quote. I was hearing rumblings of this last year, but it really got bad when they went back to school this year. I have 2 grandkids in school, and my grandkids didn't want to go to school anymore. She said the issue gained attention on social media once people started sharing photos and videos of the feline costumes and behavior. I started getting videos and messages from kids, and I said, okay, I'm going to post this so parents know what's going on. And it just goes on to say that these kids are dressing up like furries, and furries have a bad name because apparently there's like furry conventions where people dress up in mascot outfits and they don't want to ever show who they are. They're completely anonymous, and then they do things together.
That's it's a very odd sounding behavior. And it's interesting, like, it would be a great, like, sociological study, in my opinion, to go, like, how fads catch on. It's like, somebody thought of that. Like, somebody said, hey, I'm going to act and dress like a cat, and that's going to become a thing. And then somebody else caught on to it. It reminds me of my nephew who I was talking about earlier. My nephew has a thing called the itch.
What's that?
And the itch makes him act like a wild animal. Like all of a sudden, like the itch takes over and he crawls on all fours and he like runs around and it's like, and I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, I've got the itch. And he turns into a wild animal and then it goes away.
Interesting. Maybe it's like a way for them to explore different things in their mind that they don't feel like their own self can do. The thing that's interesting to me, like, can you imagine like teaching a class and being like, Javier, can you tell us what you think about this word problem? And he's like, like that would be a little disturbing in the classroom.
It would be disturbing and it would be obnoxious and it would also be hilarious, to be able to go, this actually happened at school today. Like this child responded to me as if it was a cat. That's super weird.
I know. I love it.
I love it too. Okay.
Speaking of school, I got on this trip talking to Sarah about like subjects that you liked in school. And and I had this revelation that, first of all, that I had a perverted science teacher, which is good to recognize because I said out loud to Sarah, I was like, I hated science. And then as I started unfolding that, I was like, oh, I actually didn't hate science. I just hated that perverted teacher. And I'm not even kidding. But I realized I loved math until I got to trig and calculus.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing. What are you doing putting, like, seriously, like math, you know, I know a lot of people struggle with math, but like math was so fun for me because I just got it. It just clicked for my brain. And, you know, I think we all have different ways to learn or whatever. And for some reason, that was something that was so like, oh my gosh, I'm really good at this. And then I get to my junior and senior year and they're like, oh, you're really good at this. So let's put her in trigonometry and calculus. And it is like I went from an 11th grade understanding of math to like this teacher was speaking in French.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like when I remember I took statistical analysis in college and my teacher gave me a D because he felt sorry for me. Yeah. He's like, I've got to pass you because you're trying so hard and you just don't get it. Like you don't get it. And I really love math too. I feel like I'm really good at it. It's simple math. You remember they called it consumer math and algebra and stuff like that. But as soon as I got into geometry and trigonometry, it's like my brain does not work that way. Like I cannot understand how any of that works. And I'm glad that there are people who do, because those are the people who like make flying things that go into space and stuff like that. Like it's obviously a needed skill, but wow, I don't have it.
I know, me either. It's so interesting. I and then it got me thinking about like different ways that people learn. Like if I were to look back, I mean, I was like an A, B student. When I got a B, I was devastated. But like in school, like all the way up to high school, things were good. And then I get into college and I'm like an A student in high school. Get into college and things get a little harder for me. I remember like looking at the book before my freshman year to see like what classes I wanted to take. And my brain was just blown at, I can take astronomy. Like this is the coolest thing ever. And I can take black and white photography, you know, like all these really cool creative things for me. I was like, yes. But man, there was a big line in the sand of like my learning capacity. Cause when I would get into like humanities, like that's what they called it at our school. And it was like history, but like nothing it was just stuff that didn't matter to me, as bad as that sounds. Like it just didn't connect with how life works. You know, it was like all this stuff from 400, 500, 600 years ago. And I don't know, I had this epiphany last night when I was talking about all this. Like, it's so interesting how each of us learn differently. Yeah. Like now I know that I do really well hands-on and also listening. Like that's why a teacher was really helpful for me. Actually being left to my own devices and reading, it takes me like 2 or 3 times the time to absorb it than somebody. Yeah, that's why I listen to audiobooks, you know?
Yeah.
But it gave me so much compassion for kids these days because I'm sure a ton has changed since we've been in school. But I bet there's a lot that hasn't changed. And I think it must be, again, kudos to all of our teachers out there because, you know, it really takes a great teacher to recognize how each student is learning and giving them the time and space and maybe even new ways to learn in order to help them like accomplish whatever it is they're meant to accomplish.
Yeah. And like you said, props to the teachers out there. Like I had so many great teachers in my scholastic experience that like some of them are people I still stay in touch with and being in school again and studying what I'm studying now. Like there are a handful of my instructors that have been literally life changing for me. And I am so, so grateful for amazing teachers. So those of you out there who are teachers, or if there are teachers in your lives, please say thank you to them. And thank you, teachers, for being awesome. One of the classes that I took in high school, we were talking about this the other night, was home economics. Do you remember that class?
Yes. Yes, we got... By the way, hanging out with our group of friends this week was like, I'm going to say something really awkward, was salve for my soul.
It was salve. It was balm.
Got to use the L's in there. The balm for my soul. Wasn't it so fun? We just laughed our butts off. And you and I don't always get to do that every week. Like this is usually like our key time that we spend together. And it was so fun. Okay, so back to home economics. I never took it. And that's what I was like, no wonder I'm failing over here in life. But can you talk about kind of the sexist things that we realized?
Yes. Yeah, like we realized that like the girls were put in home economics and the boys were put in shop. And let me tell you what I don't enjoy is I don't enjoy learning how to iron, how to sew, how to like make little like how to write in my checkbook. Like no, I want to go build shit. Like I want to go like build. I remember when they built the little cars that had the CO2 cartridge in the back that would like they would race the cars and I'm like, why don't I get to do that? And it's like that was so I don't know, is that sexist? Is it what? I don't even know what that's called, but it just seemed not right. And thankfully I do know how to properly iron clothing. I had to iron something the other day and I felt like I was back in the dark ages. I was like, how long has it been since I got out and ironed? But yeah, home ec class. I actually I mean, I did learn some really valuable skills, you know, kind of homemaker type skills, but I don't know. Looking at it in hindsight, I would much rather have been in shop class.
But think about that. Like, okay, so what grade, so what year around would it be? Like the 80s that you were?
I was in 7th grade and I don't know how old I mean, in the 80s, I was 10. I was probably like 14. Yeah. 14, okay. 13,
so
14.
14 years ago, this was in the 80s. So that is insane like, that says to me, like you were like, is that, I think it's ignorance. Like, why don't you get a choice that if you want to be in shop or home ec? And does home ec even exist anymore? We need parents to write in and tell us like, and can boys choose to go to home ec and girls choose to go to shop if that is the case?
Yeah, I wonder.
Did you take driver's ed growing up?
I did. If I did, I don't remember it because my mom taught me how to drive and she taught me how to drive. We lived, it was still near Washington, D.C., but it was kind of quote unquote out in the country. It was about 45 minutes outside of D.C. And I learned how to drive on a 4-speed Subaru hatchback on old country roads. So like, that's how I learned how to drive. So I don't think I mean, obviously I had to take the test to get my license, but I don't think I ever took an actual class. Did you?
My mom hired some random dude to like, I mean, I think he worked at a training place, but it was like, she just was like, nope, not doing this. My nerves are already shot from this child, you know? But here's my question for you is, do you remember trying to teach me how to drive a stick? It was. Do you know what I'm talking? Do you remember this? It lasted about 8 minutes.
Why did we do that?
Because you said every woman needs to know how to drive a stick, and I was like, all right, this is a part of my entry into womanhood. We were like 22 little, we were little babies. Yeah. And you took me over on your house that used to be the old house you had. You had a stick. What was it? An old Ford? It was a red.
Yeah, it was a Ford Focus.
Yeah. And you were like, okay, you're going to learn. And so I could not catch the whole like clutch things.
That's amazing. We basically had like 900 different episodes of Whiplash. Like it was like Whiplash galore.
Oh my God. And then you just like got in the driver's seat and drove us home like quietly. Like, I can't believe my friend can't figure out how to drive a stick. And honestly, it's one of the things I wish I knew how to do. I mean, I don't know why you need it so much. Like in Iceland or whatever I go there's a lot more sticks than there are like automatic.
Like in Iceland because everybody goes there all the time.
Well, I just remember like when I went to last time I was there, I went to book a thing and it was like there was one automatic car and I was like,
Okay, Cat and Moose need to go on learn how to drive a standard stick. Like we need to
record
film this.
Yes.
Yeah, we need to record that audio and video for our patrons because you really do, to truly cross over into womanhood, you need to know how to drive a stick shift.
Does anyone have a car that they could offer in Nashville for us? Because Sarah knows how to drive one too. So you guys could like show me and I could have 2 different versions of how to do it. And then I get in the seat And yeah, we got to record that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, my mom's Jeep is a stick shift.
Okay.
So like
next time your mom, either we'll go down and visit her, or next time your mom's in town, seriously, let's do a little bit and see if we can teach Moose how to drive a stick.
Teach Moose how to drive a stick. That is going to be the most fun experience. I think that is going to be almost as fun as the Yanni Steams.
Oh my gosh. I still can't believe we videotaped that.
I am so glad that we did. And I was so glad that those buckets melted underneath us. Like, that was so funny.
Well, you guys did not believe me.
No, we didn't until it happened. Until it happened to us.
That's awful.
Okay, so did you hear that Bonnarroo canceled this week?
I know. And it wasn't because of COVID.
That's what they say.
I know. I'm with you. Their post, it was like 4 different slides on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And they basically blamed the flood or it was too rainy and swampy or whatever. And did you see they did a follow-up post to prove it because everybody was so pissed?
Really? I didn't see that.
Yeah, they did like a little post and it was literally like proof that it is completely flooded here. And honestly, everybody was commenting, we still would have had a party because everybody just wanted to get out.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it would have been a great super spreader event, I'm sure. One of our employees was volunteering at that this week, and apparently it has been a huge mess, like huge mess. And I just thought it was really fascinating that Bonnarroo canceled, Garth Brooks canceled a bunch of dates, Florida Georgia Line canceled a bunch of dates, and then I was reading that venue owners in Texas and Florida, which those two states have been kind of controversial how they've handled COVID things and mask mandates and stuff like that.
And Roe versus Wade, but we'll leave that there.
Right. The whole 9 yards. Like, they're just different. But yeah, they were talking about how some venues are requiring proof of vaccination and some venues are requiring proof of a negative test. And then some venues are requiring masks. You know, it's just, it's like, it's almost like we're just trying to push it too far too fast. I think we need to slow down.
I do too. I hate that because you and I both need to make some money.
Oh
but
my gosh, yeah.
I agree with you. Did you hear there's a new variant called the Mu, MU, as in like Alpha Delta Mu?
Yeah, I have heard that. What are the characteristics of Mu?
Well, it just like as of the time that we're recording this, it just broke yesterday that it was out there. And the biggest concern is that they're not sure the vaccines will be able to manage that variant, which immediately makes me want to just shut down and hide. Yeah. And I'm going on a cruise tomorrow.
Hopefully no one with the Mu is on the cruise.
It's so funny. Last night I was telling a friend, I was like, did you hear about the Mu variant? And she was like, the new one? Yeah. She just kept thinking I was saying new. And she's like, yeah, the Delta. And I'm like, no, it's a Mu variant. And she was like, there's a newer one? And I'm like, Mu. All of a sudden I've turned into a cat.
See? It's taken over.
Meow, 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 meow. Do you remember that Meow Mix commercial?
Meow, 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 meow. Yeah, I do. I do remember that. Look, it looks like I got scratched by a cat.
What happened?
I don't know. I can't figure out what I did.
You did. You scratched yourself.
Special thanks to our producer, Sarah Reed.
To find out more, go to catandmoosepodcast.com. Cat and Moose is a BP production.